This is how to make a chocolate Tres Leches cake. Soon you will be able to make a dessert to share with friends and family without relying on the store to make it for you. To begin, you will need to start the process of mise en place. This just means to set out ingredients and utensils. All ingredients and tools can be easily found at the grocery store. Ingredients needed are shown by recipe. The tools needed include assorted dry measuring cups, assorted measuring spoons. You will also need a large mixing bowl, a sifter, 4 6-ounce ramekins, 2 small mixing bowls, or you can just wash one in between uses, a kitchen fork, 3 rubber scrapers, a can opener, and 2 whisks, a piping bag, and a large star tip. Also, scissors, hot pads, a flat edge spatula, a bread knife, and a decorative plate. In addition to that, you will also need access to a mixer. With that mixer, you should have a paddle attachment and a whisk attachment. To begin making the cake component, start by preheating the oven to 375. To measure out your dry ingredients, take the proper sized measuring cup, dip it in the dry ingredients until there's a mound, and then scrape it off with a flat edge spatula. You can also do the same thing for smaller ingredients. For the cake component, you will need to measure out 1/2 cup flour, 1/4 cup cocoa powder, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon baking soda. You also need 1/2 cup sugar. One by one, start sifting each of the dry ingredients into the large mixing bowl until it looks like this. It should be smooth and there should be no chunks. Next, measure the liquids. To measure liquids, use a liquid measuring cup and fill until the liquid hits the line at eye level. You can also use measuring spoons for liquids. Just fill the measuring spoon up to the top with the liquid. Use this process to measure out 1/4 cup vegetable oil, 1/4 cup strongly brewed coffee, and 1/4 cup of milk. Set up the mixer with a paddle attachment according to the owner's manual. All mixers are different. To the mixer, add the sifted dry ingredients and then the liquid ingredients. Turn the mixer on to a medium speed and allow the mixture to mix for 2 minutes. After the 2 minutes is up, use a rubber scraper to scrape down the sides of the bowl to make sure that there are no dry ingredients clung to the sides. The next step requires you to add 1/2 of a large egg into the mixture. Start by knocking the long edge of the egg against the tabletop until you hear it crack. Carefully open the egg over any container and make sure that no shell makes it into the measuring cup. Using the whisk the egg until it is thoroughly combined. Pour off half of the scrambled egg into the trash or down a sink. Pour the remaining half of an egg into the bowl with the rest of the cake mixture. Before turning the mixer back on, add in 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Turn the mixer back on to medium speed and beat for 2 more minutes. After mixing is finished, scrape down the sides one more time and remove the bowl. Next, grab the 4 6-ounce ramekins and spray them thoroughly with the cooking spray so that the ramekins are evenly coated. Then divide the batter evenly between all 4 ramekins using the rubber scraper. Finally, bake the cakes in the preheated oven until the top of the cake springs back when lightly touched. While the cake is baking, we will be making the tres leches. Begin by measuring out 1/4 cup half and half, 10 tablespoons and 1 1/2 teaspoons sweetened condensed milk, 2 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons unsweetened cocoa powder, and 3 tablespoons and 2 1/4 teaspoons evaporated milk. Whisk the milks and cocoa powder together in a small mixing bowl until it looks uniform and no cocoa powder chunks are visible. Set this mixture aside. By this time, the cakes should be done baking. Use hot pads when taking out the ramekins to keep from burning hands. Allow the cakes to cool about 5 minutes. If the cakes are too hot to be handled, wait several more minutes for them to cool. Then, using the bread knife, take off the very top of the cake. Use the kitchen fork to poke several holes into the top of each cake. This process makes sure that the liquid gets fully absorbed in the cake. Next, take the mixture and divide it amongst the 4 cakes. To make the frosting component, you will need 1 cup heavy whipping cream, 2 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons cocoa powder, and 1/3 cup powdered sugar. Add the heavy whipping cream to the mixer with the whisk attachment and allow it to mix on medium speed for 1 minute. After the 1 minute is up, add in the powdered sugar and cocoa powder and allow it to mix on low until incorporated. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and increase the mixer speed to medium-high and mix until the frosting forms stiff peaks. Stiff peaks means that when a whisk or spoon is dipped into the frosting and flipped upside down, that it'll stay still and not fall over. Next, prepare your frosting bag for piping the frosting. To prepare the frosting bag, cut off the tip of the bag just wide enough that only the top of the tip is seen, but make sure that it is not too big, otherwise the tip will fall out. Then fold over the very top of the bag so that when scooping frosting into the bag, there isn't a mess all over the edges. Scooping the frosting into the bag using the rubber scraper until the bag is about 3/4 full. Twist the top of the piping bag so that there is a seal and the frosting doesn't leak out. Use the bread knife to cut around the edges of the cake and flip the cake onto the decorative plate. Squeeze the piping bag just below the seal and maintain constant pressure as you pipe a spiral shape on the top of each prepared cake. If the piping bag runs out of frosting, follow the same process as before, just refill the piping bag. To make the dessert look even better, use a damp cloth to wipe down the edges of the plate. Also add a dusting of powdered sugar. Now the ability to make a 3-component fancy Tres Leches cake dessert with chocolate whipped frosting from home should be seen as an easy feat and a rewarding one as well. Instead of just buying a pre-made dessert from the grocery store, a fancy dessert can be made at home, not to mention that this dessert is a great way to show off a newly found cooking skill to friends and family. The cook will now be the talk of the party every time they show up. Dessert is an important part of everyone's life, so it's a great skill to have in a pinch. Go out and get baking.